Yes, I need a lot of improvement, but I will also just finish the thought, finish the task. If I keep at it, things will eventually get better. I will eventually get more confident, but don't let any early feedback ruin the path you are on. Try to strive to be above the mean at all times, even if the initial feedback isn't so great. Hello everyone. I want to share a story where last week I was in New York City and I was sharing real estate lessons with a group of real estate investors. It is a little bit more than a dozen people. And I remember in the middle of the session, one person actually walked out and left. I was distracted by that act. It was quite embarrassing. This, along with many other incidents as an entrepreneur, taught me this very interesting lesson, which is to finish the thought. Be professional as if nobody is watching. What would you do if nobody is watching? What would you do if you're only performing for yourself? A lot of times in a demo, I will find that the prospect may or may not be as interested and they might be distracted and so on. And in those cases, I can be offended. I could be feeling low self-esteem and kind of give up on the prospect. Or I could be confrontational and please listen. Or I could set a better frame and so on and so forth. That's all the external act. The internally is how do I feel? And internally how I feel is what I'm saying important? And if it is, carry it through. Finish the thought. Because how I act now, it's an exercise of self-discipline and almost self-respect. And also an exercise of self-protection, an exercise of maintaining composure. And that composure compounds, which is even if the entire world abandons you, that feeling, you still can have the strength from within to finish the thought. I want to give another analogy where I have a home gym. So a friend told me that they work better when they go to a gym or working out with a friend where they can up one another. I work out in the morning, basically right after I wake up. And the morning time is when I feel the weakest, is when I want to go back to sleep, and is when there's nobody else but silence and quietness. Nobody is watching whether I work out or not. During those precise moments that I felt I wanted to prove to myself the most more than anyone else. And so I will finish the exercise, even if nobody is watching. So that same applies to a speech, a webinar. I do a lot of webinars actually nowadays. And a lot of times I don't even know if the audience find that interesting or that I feel certain things I didn't do as a good job. And I feel this almost like a pang of anxiety. Oh, I should have said that better. I screwed it up. And it's very tempting to go back and correct, that was not good. Have that kind of self-criticism in the middle of the talk. But I learned that I will refrain from doing so and just finish the thought. This is also, funnily enough, came out on certain dates where I don't know anything about them, especially the first meet. And we'll talk about topics that we might find interesting. But you always have this am I saying the right thing? Am I not saying the right thing? Do they find it interesting? So if you don't see any reciprocity, in a short amount of time, you might be tempted to give up and just the day is not going well. But more and more, I hold on to my composure and just finish the thought, being calm. So in this public situation and in sales and in dates and with friends and with acquaintances, almost don't assume for the worst. Not necessarily don't assume the best either, but have the composure, and if all fails, have the discipline to finish the thought. Another example is, I'm sure the Broadway performers, not every night they have the resonance of the audience. Sometimes the jokes didn't land. Sometimes something was off. Sometimes there was something about right before the show that irked them, that didn't lead to the intended results they want to give. But whenever that happens, what goes in their head is, I will finish the task. Forget about the last moment. focus on the task in hand, keep the professionalism, keep the composure, keep the calmness, because at the end, someone's perception of you is a weighing machine. Maybe the first few minutes you are not the best, but over time, they will see the real you. So as long as you keep your composure and always be at the level of your medium, don't self-sabotage to go below the medium, you will eventually show your true potential. And hopefully that potential is of high value. That's what I learned. So if I believe, which I do, that I'm intrinsically high value and I have knowledge, and that I might need a little bit tweaks in terms of how I phrase things and so on, then I should just let that be the source of my comfort. That even if I messed up on some terms or whatever, or get stage anxiety, that I can always fall back to my mean, which I believe is helpful to other people. And the last example is, let's just take this YouTube channel for example. The last few videos, sometimes they did well, but sometimes they did not so well. In fact, most of the last videos didn't do so well. So what could I have done? Yes, I need a lot of improvement, but I will also just finish the thought, finish the task. If I keep at it, just like workout and everything else, things will eventually get better. I will eventually get more confident, but don't let any early feedback ruin the path you are on. And don't let early distraction kind of lower you below the mean. Try to strive to be above the mean at all times, even if the initial feedback isn't so great. I hope this lesson is helpful to you as much as it is helpful for me to hear it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.